Most people believe growing older means slowing down, accepting weakness, and surrendering control of your body to time. But what if that belief is the very thing that's killing us? What if the truth is this? Your heart doesn't fail because you're old. It fails because nobody ever taught you how to protect it when it matters most. Today, I'm going to show you how to survive a heart attack completely alone after 60. 7 science-backed, life-saving actions that can turn a moment of panic into a second chance at life. This isn't theory. These are the exact steps I've seen work again and again in my 30 years of treating heart emergencies. And by the time we're done, you'll know exactly what to do. Every breath, every movement, every choice, if your heart ever turns against you. But before we begin, I want you to picture something. You're at home, maybe folding laundry, maybe reading. You feel that strange tightness in your chest, like someone's pressing down, just enough to make you uncomfortable. You stand up, thinking maybe it's indigestion. You grab a glass of water, then the pressure spreads to your shoulder, maybe your jaw. You feel lightheaded. A cold sweat begins to form, and suddenly your body doesn't feel like your own. You're alone. The phone's across the room. The clock ticks louder. What you do in the next 2 minutes will decide everything. This isn't a scare tactic, it's reality. Nearly half of all fatal heart attacks happen before the patient ever reaches the hospital. And do you know what breaks my heart most? Almost every one of those people could have lived. They weren't doomed by their heart. They were lost to hesitation. They didn't know what to do. So today we fix that. We're going to rewrite the ending to that story, because your life, your independence, and your future depend on it. Let's start with the first step. And I'll tell you right now, it's the one that decides whether you live long enough for any of the others to matter. Number 7, call emergency services immediately. This one might sound obvious, but I promise you, it's the single most ignored, most fatal mistake people make when their heart begins to fail. Most people don't call for help. They wait, they reason, they tell themselves, it's just gas. I'll rest for a bit. I don't want to bother anyone. But here's the brutal truth. Every minute you wait, your heart muscle dies a little more. Cardiologists say it simply, time is muscle. A man named George taught me that lesson years ago. He was 68, a retired math teacher from Ohio. One evening, he felt a dull ache in his chest after dinner. He sat down, drank some water, and waited for it to pass. He didn't want to make a fuss. When his daughter came by 2 hours later, he was unconscious on the couch. He never made it to the hospital alive. The doctors told her what I already knew. If he'd called 911 within the first 10 minutes, he'd likely be here today. Now contrast that with Ruth, a 72-year-old woman who lived just down the road. When she felt that same heavy pressure, she didn't think twice. She called emergency services immediately. By the time paramedics arrived, she was short of breath but still conscious. They rushed her in, opened her artery, and saved nearly all her heart function. Today she's gardening again, walking her dog every morning, still living independently. Here's where the truth gets shocking. Studies show seniors who call for help within 10 minutes of symptoms have survival odds up to 50% higher than those who wait. 50%. That's the difference between permanent damage and full recovery. So if you ever feel chest pressure, shortness of breath, or sudden dizziness, don't negotiate with yourself. Don't wait. Act first, question later. Even if it turns out to be nothing, you've lost nothing. But if it is a heart attack, you've just taken the single most important step to stay alive. And while help is on the way, what you do next can keep blood moving, buy you precious minutes, and protect your brain and heart from further damage. Which brings us to the next life-saving action. Number 6, chew an aspirin, not swallow chew. This one simple act can literally save your life before paramedics even arrive. And yet, most people don't realize just how powerful it is. Aspirin isn't just for headaches, it's one of the most effective clot-fighting drugs in existence, available right in your medicine cabinet. Here's what happens during a heart attack. A clot forms inside one of the arteries feeding your heart. It blocks blood flow, starving your heart muscle of oxygen. The longer that blockage stays, the more damage occurs. Aspirin works by thinning your blood. It slows down the clot's growth, keeping a small trickle of blood moving until help arrives. But here's the key. Speed matters. Swallowing a whole tablet can take 10 to 12 minutes before it starts to dissolve. Chewing it breaks it down instantly, allowing your body to absorb it through the lining of your mouth and stomach within minutes. A landmark study published in The Lancet found that taking aspirin during a heart attack reduced the risk of death by 23%. 23% just from one pill. But only if you take it fast enough. Now, there's one important exception. If you're allergic to aspirin or your doctor has specifically told you not to take it, skip this step. But for everyone else, keep a small bottle of uncoated aspirin in an easy-to-reach place. Your nightstand, your kitchen counter, even your car glove box. And when symptoms strike, chew one 325 mg tablet while you call for help. Let me tell you about Harold. He was a 70-year-old retired bus driver who lived alone. One night, he felt that crushing pain in his chest. He remembered something his doctor once said, "If it ever happens, chew an aspirin and call 911. So he did. He stayed on the line with the dispatcher until paramedics arrived. When I saw him in the ER 2 hours later, his heart rhythm was stable. We opened his blocked artery, and the damage was minimal. He walked out of the hospital 2 weeks later, still independent, still driving. Think about that. One pill, one decision. That's what bought him decades of life. And that's why I always tell my patients, don't just have aspirin in your home, know exactly where it is. Because in an emergency, your brain will be foggy, your body weak, and your time short. Preparation is power. But surviving a heart attack alone isn't only about what you take, it's also about how you move your body in those critical minutes. This next one is so simple, so overlooked, and yet it can immediately lower the strain on your heart. Number 5. Loosen tight clothing and sit upright. It sounds almost too simple to matter, but this single adjustment can dramatically improve your body's ability to keep oxygen flowing. When your heart is struggling, every small movement counts. Tight clothing, belts, collars, waistbands, compresses your blood vessels and makes it harder for your heart to circulate blood efficiently. Sitting upright, rather than lying flat, helps your lungs expand and gives your heart room to breathe. Think of it like this. During a heart attack, your heart is trying to push oxygen through a blocked pipeline. If you lie down, you increase pressure on your chest and diaphragm, forcing the heart to work harder. Sitting upright reduces that pressure, improves airflow, and makes breathing easier. A review in the European Heart Journal showed that positioning patients upright during cardiac distress helps prevent fluid buildup in the lungs, a condition that can quickly lead to suffocation. I once treated a 74-year-old woman named Clara. She was gardening when she felt that sudden tightness in her chest. She didn't panic. She moved to her porch chair, loosened her apron and waistband, and sat upright while she called 911. When the ambulance arrived, she was pale but alert. Her doctor later told her that simple decision, to sit upright and free her chest, likely kept her from losing consciousness before oxygen reached her. That's the kind of calm awareness that saves lives. And here's the bigger picture. When you practice small habits that keep your circulation healthy, like daily mobility exercises, light stretching, or even deep breathing, you're not just preparing for emergencies. You're extending your longevity. You're unlocking your body's built-in capacity to heal and adapt. Because here's something few people realize. The secrets of longevity aren't hidden in complex medical treatments. They're hidden in everyday actions, how you move, how you breathe, and how you respond under stress. Heart health and independence go hand in hand. The stronger and more mobile you stay, the better your chances of surviving any crisis.
But the next step is where it gets surprising. Because there's something you can do physically, something most people have never even heard of, that can keep you conscious during a heart attack when you feel yourself fading. It's a strange little technique, but it saved lives in emergency rooms for decades. Number 4. Cough strongly if you feel faint. Now, I know this one sounds odd, maybe even like an old myth, but it's real and it works in specific situations. It's called cough CPR. When your heart rhythm becomes unstable, you might suddenly feel lightheaded, dizzy, or like you're about to pass out. In those moments, a series of strong, repeated coughs can actually keep blood flowing to your brain long enough for help to arrive. Here's how it works. Every time you cough forcefully, your chest muscles and diaphragm contract. That contraction creates pressure inside your chest, almost like a mini heartbeat. It temporarily pushes blood through your heart and up to your brain, keeping you conscious for a few precious seconds longer. Doctors first discovered this technique when patients undergoing cardiac procedures fainted during arrhythmias. They noticed that when instructed to cough repeatedly, those patients stayed awake until the rhythm stabilized. The Journal of the American College of Cardiology later confirmed that cough CPR can maintain blood pressure temporarily during cardiac arrest-like episodes. Of course, this isn't a cure. It won't stop the heart attack itself. But if you ever feel your vision dimming, your knees weakening, or your world closing in, don't just let yourself collapse. Take a deep breath and cough hard, once every 2 to 3 seconds, as if you're trying to clear your lungs. Keep doing it until the dizziness passes or paramedics arrive. Let me tell you about Miguel. He was a retired mechanic, 69 years old, living alone in Texas. He told me later he felt this sudden spinning in his head one afternoon, followed by a crushing pain in his chest. He remembered reading about cough CPR somewhere online. He started coughing, hard, rhythmic, steady. By the time the ambulance arrived, he was still conscious. The doctors later said those coughs likely kept blood flowing to his brain just long enough to prevent collapse. Think about that for a moment. His own lungs became a temporary life support system. His body, even in crisis, still had the power to fight for survival if he knew how to use it. And that's the message behind all these steps. You are not powerless. You are equipped. Your body, even after 60, is capable of remarkable things. You just need to know the playbook. But here's where the truth gets even deeper. These steps, calling for help, chewing aspirin, adjusting your position, and even coughing, aren't just about surviving a heart attack. They're about reclaiming confidence in your own body. They're about reversing that quiet fear so many people carry after 60, that fear of being fragile, of being alone, of not being able to save yourself. Because here's what I've learned after treating thousands of patients. Resilience doesn't fade with age, it just waits to be remembered. And before we move on to the next life-saving techniques, ones that can literally open the door for help and keep oxygen flowing when panic takes over, I want to hear from you. If you're watching this, tell me in the comments. How old are you? And do you keep aspirin or an emergency plan somewhere easy to reach? I read every single one because your story might be the one that inspires someone else to prepare. All right, take a deep breath. You've already learned how to buy yourself time, keep blood moving, and protect your heart under pressure. But what comes next? What you do in the moments between calling for help and hearing that siren can make all the difference. Because the next step isn't about your heart. It's about giving rescuers the fastest path to save you. And sometimes, the smallest detail can make the biggest difference. Number 3. Unlock your door and keep your phone within reach. This one sounds so simple it's easy to overlook, but I can't tell you how many times in my career I've seen help arrive too late. Not because the ambulance didn't come fast enough, but because nobody could get inside. Every second matters during a heart attack. Studies show that for every 10 minutes of delay in treatment, the chance of survival drops by nearly 10%. 10 minutes can mean the difference between getting another 20 years with your grandchildren or never seeing them again. So if you ever find yourself in that moment, chest tight, breathing heavy, phone in hand, before you do anything else, unlock your front door. If you live in an apartment, buzz the entry open or leave a note for emergency responders. Then, sit down in a spot where they can easily find you. Keep your phone right next to you, on speaker if possible, so you can follow the dispatcher's instructions while conserving your strength. I remember a man named Frank, 73 years old, widowed, living alone. He did everything right, called 911, chewed his aspirin, but collapsed just a few feet from his locked front door. Paramedics arrived within minutes, but lost precious time breaking it down. By the time they reached him, his heart had been without oxygen for too long. He didn't make it. 2 weeks later, another patient, a woman named Dorothy, 80 years old, did the opposite. She unlocked her door first, then sat by the entryway with her phone on speaker. When help arrived, they found her instantly, began treatment within seconds, and got her to the hospital in time to save her heart muscle. She's still living independently today, walking to the grocery store every morning, full of energy and purpose. And that's the real goal here, not just surviving the attack, but staying independent after it, because independence is everything after 60. It's the foundation of confidence, dignity, and joy. When you know how to protect yourself, you reclaim your freedom. You stop living in fear and start living in strength. So remember, your phone is your lifeline, and your unlocked door is the bridge that gets help to you faster. Together, they buy back the one thing you can't replace: time. But the next step is just as powerful. Because once you've made that call, taken your aspirin, and created a clear path for rescuers, the battle turns inward. Your body is fighting for oxygen, and your mind is fighting to stay calm. What you do in those next moments, how you breathe, how you think, can tip the scales between chaos and control. Number 2, take slow, deep breaths to calm your heart. This is one of the simplest, most powerful tools you have. When fear strikes, your body floods with adrenaline, your heart rate spikes, your blood pressure surges, and your already struggling heart is forced to work even harder. But here's the miracle: your breath can change that instantly. Slow, deliberate breathing activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the part of your body designed to restore calm and balance. It lowers stress hormones, slows your pulse, and improves oxygen delivery. It's nature's built-in heart protector, available to you anytime, anywhere. When I teach this to my patients, I tell them, place one hand on your belly, not your chest. Inhale deeply through your nose until you feel your stomach rise. Then exhale slowly through your mouth, as if blowing through a straw. Count to 4 on the inhale and 6 on the exhale. That's it. Simple, steady, repeat. I'll never forget Marianne, a retired nurse in her 70s who did exactly this. When her heart attack struck, she sat upright, called for help, and focused only on her breathing. She told me later, I could feel the panic trying to take over, but every slow breath brought me back. When the paramedics arrived, she was weak, but fully conscious. Her cardiologist later said that her steady breathing likely reduced the strain on her heart just enough to prevent cardiac arrest. And that's the point. Slow, deep breaths buy you time. Time for oxygen to reach your brain. Time for your heart to ease its workload. Time for help to arrive. Here's where the truth gets inspiring. Breathing isn't just an emergency technique. It's a daily longevity secret. Seniors who practice deep breathing, meditation, or gentle mobility exercises often have lower blood pressure, better oxygen levels, and stronger heart function. You can literally reverse some effects of aging by teaching your body to calm itself under stress. That's not magic. That's biology. It's one of the most underrated senior health tips of all time. But there's one more step. One final, powerful truth that ties all these survival techniques together. And this one, number 1 on our list, is the most important of them all. Number 1, stay as calm and still as possible. This is the golden rule. When a heart attack hits, your instincts will scream at you to move, to pace, to reach for something, to walk it off. But movement is your enemy. Every step you take, every strain you place on your muscles forces your weakened heart to pump harder. And right now, your heart doesn't need harder. It needs calm. When you stay still, you conserve oxygen. You lower your body's demand for blood. You give your heart a fighting chance to survive. It's the ultimate act of trust. Trust in your body, trust in help that's on the way, trust that stillness is strength, not surrender. I once treated a man named Carl, a 71-year-old farmer. He was repairing his tractor when he felt that crushing pain in his chest. He knew something was wrong immediately. His first thought was to climb up the ladder to grab his phone, but something inside told him to stop. He sat down right where he was, used his smartwatch to call for help, and waited. When paramedics arrived, he was pale but stable. They told him later that if he'd tried to climb those steps, his heart would have likely given out halfway up. Stillness saved him, literally. And that's why I tell every patient I meet. When the moment comes, do less, not more. Sit down, breathe slow, stay still, and let the professionals do the rest. Your only job is survival. These 7 steps: call immediately, chew aspirin, loosen clothing and sit upright, cough if you feel faint, unlock your door, breathe deeply and stay still, aren't just survival tactics. Together, they form a map that guides you from panic to control, from helplessness to empowerment, from fear to life. But I want to take this even deeper, because surviving a heart attack alone is one thing. Living a long, vibrant life afterward is another. Here's the truth. The people who survive heart attacks and thrive afterward all have something in common. They don't just recover physically, they transform mentally. They see their survival not as luck, but as a second chance. A reason to live differently, to live better, to live with purpose. Let me share one story that changed how I see aging forever. Her name was Evelyn. She was 78 when I first met her, a soft-spoken woman with silver hair and bright blue eyes that seemed to hold entire stories behind them. She'd survived a massive heart attack alone at home. When I asked her how she did it, she smiled and said, "I remembered your voice from one of your talks. You said, 'Call first, breathe second, sit still.' So I did exactly that." She called 911, chewed an aspirin, sat upright by her door, and breathed slow, steady breaths until paramedics arrived. They told me later that her heart had been minutes away from irreversible damage, but she made it. When she came to see me for her follow-up, she told me something I'll never forget. "I thought the heart attack was the end," she said, "but it was really the beginning. I started walking every morning. I joined a seniors yoga class. I cut down on salt, learned to cook simple meals. I stopped waiting for the world to take care of me and started taking care of myself. And you know what? I feel younger now than I did at 60. That's when I realized surviving a heart attack isn't just about staying alive. It's about learning how to live again. It's about discovering the longevity secrets hidden inside your own habits. It's about reclaiming your power. If you take nothing else from this video, take this. The heart is more than a muscle. It's a messenger. When it struggles, it's not just telling you something's wrong physically. It's reminding you that your life matters too much to live on autopilot. So here's what I want you to do, starting today. Keep aspirin in an easy-to-reach place. Teach your spouse, your friends, your children these same steps. Practice your breathing every morning for 5 minutes. Stay active with simple mobility exercises that keep your blood flowing and your body strong. And most importantly, believe that it's never too late to take control of your health. Aging is not a countdown to decline. It's an invitation to mastery. It's your body asking you to listen, to nurture, to adjust, and to grow wiser. When you do, you don't just extend your years, you expand your life. You reverse aging, not by turning back the clock, but by living forward with purpose. And that's what I want for you. Not just to survive, but to thrive. Not just to exist, but to live fully. To laugh, to love, to see your grandkids graduate, to take those trips you've always dreamed of. To wake up every morning knowing your body is your ally, not your enemy. Because here's the most powerful truth of all. No matter how old you are, your heart can still heal. Your body can still adapt. Your spirit can still fight. Now imagine, for a moment, what it would mean if every senior knew these 7 steps. Imagine a world where heart attacks didn't mean tragedy, but transformation. Where knowledge replaced fear. Where every grandparent, every parent, every friend over 60 had the confidence to save their own life. That's the world we can build. One conversation, one video, one person at a time. So let me ask you, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you share it? Will you prepare? Will you be the one who passes it on to someone you love? Because you could save a life, maybe even your own. If you found value in what we've shared today, take a moment to leave a comment below. Tell me where you're watching from, how old you are, and what changes you're making starting today to protect your heart. I read every single one because your story might be the spark that helps someone else take action. And if this message spoke to you, if it made you think, made you feel, made you believe that life after 60 can still be powerful, independent, and full of hope, then please share this video with your loved ones. You never know whose life it might save. Subscribe to this channel so you never miss out on the next lesson, the next story, the next truth that could change everything. Because this is just the beginning. Stay safe, stay strong, and remember this: your heart isn't just beating to keep you alive. It's beating to remind you that you still have something extraordinary left to live for.